Hello, guys. Welcome to another Games from the Blog podcast. I'm really honored today to have Michael, who is head of gaming at Wax Studios, and we're going to talk everything about Blockchain Brawlers, Wax Blockchain, and Play to Earn. Michael, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. How are you today?
Perfect. Doing really, really good. Let's begin by telling us, who are you and what is that you do?
So I'm Michael Rubinelli, and I'm the Chief Gaming Officer for Wax Studios, which basically means I head up all the gaming initiatives of what it is that we're doing as an organization. So I bringing, kind of my traditional gaming background. I've worked at a lot of kind of big gaming companies and done a lot of really interesting things. And I'm leading the charge on kind of, play to earn gaming here at Wax.
All right. So, Michael, I know you have a history in traditional gaming. You work for companies like Electronic Arts, right? So I believe you are the right person to ask what does make a game fun and engaging? Like, what does a game have to be a good game?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's not a question that really I think we spend a lot of time kind of looking at. I think people talk about, well, what makes a great football game, or what makes a great soccer game, or what makes a good fighting game. But what makes gaming great in general is a topic I think that I always like to discuss. And the thing that I say that all great games have in common is they have a progression towards a desirable goal, if that makes any sense. And so what I mean by that is that as long as a player, you're moving forward towards something that you want, you will be retained. And that's really compelling. That's really appealing. Like, I want to level up in an RPG, or I want to beat this level in Candy Crush or in Gardenscapes, or I want to win the Super Bowl in, say, a John Madden, or I want to do this. Like, there's all these things you want to do. There's all these things you want to accomplish. There's these things you want to discover, craft, play, progress, right? Like, as long as you're progressing towards a desirable goal, that makes the game really, really fun, to play. If where you're going isn't very fun or isn't worthwhile, then the game isn't fun and the game won't succeed. So meaningful progression towards a desirable goal is what makes games great in my mind.
All right. So moving forward to NFT games, I believe that the things you said could also be applied to NFT games. Like, what would make an NFT game desirable, since gaming is changing with NFTs?
Yeah, look, I think the thing that, so I got religion around this space fairly quickly, and I saw the power of what it could do. And I've had a lot of moments in my own personal life when I'm playing games, and at some point, my friends stop playing, or the servers get shut down, or a game gets sunset, or the development team stops kind of leaning in, and I walk away, and what do I have to show for it? I really don't have anything to show for it, right? And sometimes this is kind of many years of commitment and investing of my time and my attention to a product, and all I have is kind of my memories. And now what we're seeing is with play to earn gaming and NFTs that put the power of the inventory, the power of the items in the hands of the players. They can do with it whatever they want, and that's really liberating. Right. And so, if I craft something, if I get a rare drop, if I, beat a boss, and there's there's loot that comes with that, like whatever that wants to be. Now all these things that I'm doing, crafting, earning, collecting, progressing, are mine, and I can do with them as I see fit, and I can give them to my friends and they can play with me, which is a lot of fun, and that makes me feel really, really good. I can trade them with people I don't know, again, which is really, really good. It's a kind of a barter system that lives outside of the game, or then ultimately you can sell these things. And so when I think about kind of the digital items that I have in my inventory of all these other games, and yet they're locked in that world and I can't do anything with them, it's a total bummer. But when I think about NFT based gaming, right, play to earn gaming, and now I have full control over what I do with those assets, like that's a really, really powerful thing as a player. It's no more like, oh, I have to pay the developer and I don't have anything to show for it. It's like, now I am the content creator, right? And I can do these things as I see fit.
Exactly. Michael, you are coming from traditional gaming, right? So I have a question for you. You are from one of these guys who switched over to NFT gaming from traditional gaming, right? But there is a lot of skepticism, and I can say a lot of hate for NFTs in traditional gaming. Do you think that this happens because of like celebrities selling tokens, or because of the failing play to earn economies? Why is all that hate against us?
Look, I think that it's actually a really interesting thing that I kind of think about a lot. Like I talk to a lot of my friends that are kind of traditional gamers and traditional game makers, and there's a lot of misinformation I think that drives the hate,
Yeah,
right? Oh, it's echo unfriendly. Like it actually isn't. If you look at what we do on Wax, we're the most kind of carbon negative to carbon neutral blockchain in the world. Like
yeah,
we use no energy for our chain, really. Like the same amount of energy to generate all these transactions on our chain is the same energy consumed by 5 Americans over the course of a year. Like it's next to nothing comparatively, right? So it's a really kind of eco-friendly. So you can't put that argument up against kind of wax-based gaming. Then they say, well, gee, NFTs are predatory and they don't have any utility. Well, actually, they do have utility. Look at how we use them in games. Look at what they can do. Like, I think there's like the traditionals is like, I don't want to be a part of this. It's a scam. It's a rug pull. It's a pyramid scheme or a Ponzi scheme. There's no value. Everything goes flat. And
you can't blame them. Huh?
right. And I think that if you really, 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 really boil it down, right, there are some people, some traditional gamers who have looked at Axie Infinity, or they've looked at, Alien Worlds. They looked at kind of the games that are really, really popular, on the blockchain and go, well, those aren't real games. And how dare they? There's this real elitist attitude, and it's really unfortunate. But I think that once you understand that blockchain gaming is trying to create a player-to-player world that we live in, a creator economy, if you will, like that's a really, really powerful thing that they should embrace, right? You go to all those players who are telling you how bad it is and say, what did you do with all the items that you've earned in World of Warcraft playing for 10 years? Like nothing, right?
Nothing,
Nothing.
exactly.
You couldn't do anything with them, right? So now what if you took that same World of Warcraft mentality, or you took that World of Warcraft MMORPG and brought it into the play to earn space? Now all of a sudden, all these things, as you go up and you kind of hit the level cap and you progress and you go through raids, you go through, now all that inventory is available to be given to your friends to play with you, which makes you feel good as a player, right? That's a positive. Or you can sell it on a secondary market, again, which allows more players to come into the game, which is another feel good, and or you're getting, you're monetizing those items. It's a real positive. I think, kind of naivete or fear of the unknown is what these players are bracing against, and they hate the notion of kind of some of the, I think, security concerns that come with the with the space, and seeing games kind of moon and collapse is never kind of any fun. And the fact that they're not real games is also, again, an elitist attitude, but you see that a lot. I hear that a lot. And so I think you sort of, it's a culmination of all those things.
All right. Definitely the space needs to mature. Okay. And
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, eventually I believe like blockchain gaming will become the standard. Like if not a token to earn, definitely the assets are going to be NFTs. Like I was playing Lineage 2 for like 10 years in my life, right? An MMORPG.
Right.
So if I had these assets, like I wouldn't have to work anymore.
Yeah, no doubt. And we know some people at NC Soft, and they're trying to get into the NFT space, and they're trying to figure out kind of what does that mean. But you look at Guild Wars, you look at Lineage 2, you look at these long-running MMORPGs that they've been building, and yet their audience would be way more engaged and would be able to grow over that 10 years, not diminish, if they embraced this. So
MMORPG is the perfect example for blockchain gaming. Like, I mean, really, it's a perfect fit. So are we going to see NCSoft games on Wax?
I don't know. We try to get everybody, everywhere we go, we try to spread the wisdom or religion, the gospel of, if you will, of Wax. Like we want people to believe in it because we think it's really real. And look, I'm like you. I think that there's going to come a point in time in the near future, probably the next 3 to 4 years. Like I really believe this with all my heart.
Yeah,
that you won't, a game will not come out in say 2025 or 2026 that won't have some form of play to earn gaming in it. It may not be the main driver of gameplay like it is today with these sort of gamified DeFi experiences. But every single game that comes out will have something where the players can participate in a secondary economy in the real world that they're owning and driving and controlling.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to Blockchain Brawlers. All right.
Okay.
So it's right now it's the most trending game on the blockchain. It's the first game from Wax Studio, the first official game. So how did the idea came up to make a Mexican brawler fighting game? Am I saying this correctly?
Yeah, look, it's born out of kind of a mix of love of wrestling and nostalgia from our childhood, right? Like we all grew up, everybody here in the studio involved in development, like we all grew up as fans of wrestling, including the company that actually makes that made the figures that which inspired the NFTs. Like they were just absolute classic wrestling fans from kind of the 80s and 90s. You look at, the Hulk Hogan era, you look at The Rock, you look at Iron Sheik, Andre the Giant, like all these are kind of our heroes growing up as kids. And they said, we love to make these, kind of action figure looking wrestlers that are original IP and they're campy and they're fun and they're interesting. And we said, well, gee, we love wrestling as a gaming kind of construct. So why don't we combine these things together and make a blockchain based wrestling game and call it Blockchain Brawlers? And that's how it all came to be.
Okay. Speaking of this game, I think within the first 2 weeks of the launch, you did nearly $530,000 in transactions, like the first 2 weeks.
No, I'll help you. $430 million in
43 million. Yeah.
430 million in token trading volume. We did. And so it was really, really a benchmark for us. It shows that the token that the game produces has utility in the game and has value on all these centralized exchanges as well as these decentralized exchanges. We're creating a real demand to own the token to grow.
That's really astonishing. Like, where do you credit the success? Is it because it's the first wax game, or we are talking about a quality game here that players love and like to play?
Yeah, look, I think that if I told you exactly why or how we did it, we'd be able to replicate it and do it time and time again. Markets are really interesting and they're kind of fickle and you never quite know what it is. I think what I will tell you is we stated a goal that was kind of twofold. One is we wanted to control the token supply and have it be very, very tight and very limited. And so it is. So the initial kind of, circulating supply is low. And then we told everybody when we got listed on these exchanges, what the circulation supply would be. So they understand it was a limited, kind of a really precious thing, right? We weren't going to put out, hundreds and hundreds of millions or billions and billions and billions of tokens. Like it was just like a real small supply. And then we married that within the game. This is why you need the token. So we explained to the people on the exchanges and to the community what the value of the token was. Like you need to craft, you need to heal, you're going to win it when you brawl. If you want to equip a swag kit, which is our really cool aesthetic component we have, you need brawl to do that. Like, so we showed all these different places where, brawling and using brawl, that token that you earn has value in the game. And they're like, oh my gosh, really cool. Everybody's going to need brawl all the time. Like, yep, everybody's going to always need brawl. And the demand and the supply, we're working really hard to keep them at, with parity with one another. And so once they understood that's how we operate, that's how we see the world tied to a limited supply, like they're like, okay, this has value. These guys are kind of speaking differently. They're acting differently. They're talking differently. The nice thing for us is when the game came out, they go, whoa. And then we've never seen a game that looks like this, right? We've never seen a game that plays like this. This is all really, really thoughtful and really polished. And so we feel like, we really kind of bring a very professional gaming kind of experience to the space. And it's been very well received in that regard.
I see. So I didn't have the honor to try the game. I watched some videos and I noticed that players just click a brawl button and results like come in. So do you plan to make this like 3D or something, or have kind of fighting gameplay for Blockchain Brawlers?
Yeah, I think it's a natural question. And the first question is, why is it only kind of click to brawl? And the reality is this is what we're able to do in kind of 90 days of development. So imagine we have a team and we've 3 months and this is what we put up. Like, I think it's unbelievably impressive for the limited amount of time that the game has been in development. Like I said, kind of 3 or 4 months from today. I think if you go back 4 months.
In a very short time, huh?
Yeah, very, very short time. So we're really, really impressed with what we've been able to do from a development standpoint. But yet know that we have kind of like this 3 to 5 year horizon that we look at. And so the better question is not what is it today, but where is it going to go, right? And which is what you said. You said this is going to be a 3D fighting game. What's going to happen? You're going to start to see kind of every single month until forever, I hope. You're going to see things like, yep, that reminds me of this game, and that reminds me of that game, and this is a great feature, and this is really, really gamey, right, if you will. Because the thing that I think that I try to tell people where we win as an organization and where we win as a product is, I'm convincing you now to play this game because it's more fun than another game you're playing. Today, it's like play this game because the earning potential is really good and the character is really colorful and it's fun to craft and it's fun to brawl and it's fun to heal and it's fun to be in the community. But what I want to say is come play this game, because when you actually do all those things and you play player versus player and you get involved in factions and faction wars and you look at our kind of daily or weekly competitions and you see all these things that we're doing, this is a very gaming heavy experience. And, kind of the ones who get the best rewards are the ones who are the smartest players, are the sharpest, they're the most tactical, they take risks, like very gaming centric sorts of ideals that we're going to be embracing, like I said, over the course of the next kind of 3 to 5 years. Starting, next month in May, and then in June and July, every month we'll have something that feels like a much more kind of involved set of, choices for the players to work within.
Now that's great to hear. Like if the team managed to deliver this game in 3 months, like they're going to do miracles in the future.
I hope so. That's the plan.
Yeah. So Michael, do you guys plan on releasing any other games? Like official Wax games?
We do. So as you can imagine, we think the play to earn space is just, it's really ripe for somebody to come in and put out a lot of different kinds of games. So this is our quote unquote fighting game, and we'll do different categories or different genres of games that we'll develop from an internal standpoint. Like we have different developers working for us, building different kinds of games. Nothing I can comment on, but on top of that, we're going out and we're like, as we talked about earlier, right? We are preaching kind of the benefit and the value of Wax. And so we've gone to the development community, to traditional game developers, people that are, have a long and distinguished career of making critically acclaimed and commercially acclaimed games. And we're convincing them to go ahead and bring them to the Wax blockchain. And we're going to help them, publish them. We're going to support them. We're going to, do everything we can to make sure the world knows that these products exist. So I think that if you and I get back together 6 months from now, you'll be like, oh my gosh, all these games on Wax and they're so cool. And I stopped playing my mobile apps because, or I stopped playing my PlayStation 5. I'm gaming on Wax and it's so fun. We want to shift traditional gamers into the space and make them feel like really they've made the right decision, because yes, this is on the blockchain, but these games are just objectively really cool and really fun. That's kind of the first order business for us. Make the games as fun as they can be.
That makes perfect sense. To truth be told, Wax makes it very easy for traditional gamers to get on board in the platform. Yes. I can go to the Wax Cloud wallet, log in with my Google account, and have a blockchain wallet ready. Right. This is there is a huge difference on creating a MetaMask wallet and learning how to use that wallet not to lose your money, than creating, a Wax account. And speaking of this, like onboarding is easy, it's perfect, that kind of stuff. But as of today, and correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't seen like any MMORPG, like 3D games on Wax. Like, is there a reason we haven't seen this kind of games yet?
Yeah.
I hope you're creating one.
Do you have a sense of how long it takes to make an MMORPG?
It needs a couple of years, yeah.
Many, many years, right? And so for there to be an MMORPG on Wax today, somebody would have had to start back in 2018 or 2019. And in 2018, 2019, blockchain gaming wasn't really a thing. There was a few kind of, interesting bets in the space, but nothing like today. I can tell you that if you look at the metaverses that people are talking about, whether it's Sandbox or Legacy or, what have you, there's a lot of groups that are bringing that kind of experience into the blockchain space. And, we haven't announced anything yet in that regard, but that's why you don't see those things today. But I will tell you that it makes a ton of sense for the reasons you and I talked about with Lineage too, right? To have that kind of experience live on the blockchain. And it's coming. It's coming. We haven't announced anything, but all those games is going to start to show up, and they're going to be a ton of fun to play. And then players, I think, are really going to get kind of excited by how much control over their own kind of inventory they have.
That's great to hear. Now you're getting me excited. I'm looking forward for an MMO Wax.
Fantastic.
So, Michael, do you think play-to-earn economies are sustainable? The industry is like 5 years old, but you see games still experimenting with economies. Like, we haven't seen a sustainable economy yet in the industry.
Yeah, it's really funny. look, my perspective is maybe different than other people. I'm kind of a traditional game maker, and I have a very kind of I take what I like to call the kind of the infinite perspective. Like, I don't sit there and go, okay, what can I build and run for the next 6 months? I say, what kind of experience can I build that'll run forever? And I think that when people look at play to earn, they often mistake that as play to profit, right? Like, oh, I need to play to profit. Like, the idea isn't to have you profit. The idea is to have you have items that you're earning, whether you're crafting or you've got some sort of UGC model that you can then monetize outside the game. Whether you profit or not is up to you. Hopefully you do. The whole idea, though, that I always say is that if you focus more on the play and less on the earn will come over time. Like, if I keep you in a game, like, think about it. Like, think about if Lineage 2, let's just say that it was a play to earn game. And let's just say that the economy did collapse, but you were playing it for 7 years. Over the course of those 7 years, you're taking little bits and pieces out of the game. You're selling them on the secondary market. At some point, you've got, real monetary value to show for your time. If I said to you kind of how profitable was that, you're like, I don't know, because you're probably not going to track it like that. But you said, I know that I have over 7 years, I did all these things. I had a ton of fun, but I had agency over my items, right? Which is a really powerful thing. I think so many people focus on, oh, I lost money at this, or I didn't get my ROI fast enough. Well, if you leave, prematurely, and you don't give yourself a chance to play a game for a really, really long time, yeah, you may be upside down, and that's your fault, not the fault of the game, right? So if, a lot of times what I find is people have unrealistic expectations, like, oh, I should be able to play this for a month or two and get my money back, and then it's all profit. But when the profits don't meet their demands, or don't meet their expectations, I should say, they leave. And, it's more of like an opportunity cost than it is actual, the economy's collapsing, or the game didn't perform well. It's a really funny notion. Like, people like, I lost money. Well, why? Well, I left. Okay, well, what if you didn't leave? Well, I'd still be working on making my money back. Right, exactly. So you just stick it out to the end, and you see what the game development team does from a roadmap standpoint, or you take your investment and you put it somewhere else. I don't like to talk about these kind of games as investments. I really do try to talk about them as games that has a player-to-player economy built in, and it's an important distinction, right? Because if you look at the audience of players today, it's crypto savvy folks that are gamblers and speculators, right? But I want to bring in traditional gamers. Like, that's how there's 2.5 billion gamers, almost 3 billion gamers in the world. There's not many of them are play-to-earn gamers. But once we appeal to those people, that's when games grow forever. Economies get very robust. And to answer your question of, can these things be sustainable, for a very, very long time? They certainly can. We had millions and millions and millions of players in your game, not, tens of thousands, which is what a lot of play-to-earn games are.
I see. I understand. The truth be told, like most new play-to-earn games, the economy cycle is getting lower and lower. Like, I mean, take for example, Axie Infinity. It took years for Axie Infinity to become what it is today, right, for the economy to grow. And you take, for example, new games like the token pumps, like after 1 month, and then everyone leaves. That unfortunately, this is how most of the games work today, and hopefully this will change.
Yeah, and George, I'll tell you, we've told people, don't look for our token to pump, right?
Yeah,
don't look for our token to pump at all, because we're not in the token pumping business. What we've told people is, we're going to do everything we can to stabilize our token. So, when you earn a certain amount of the token in the game, you can peg a value to that. But don't look for it to moon. Therefore, don't look for it to crash. Just look for nice, steady growth over many years, right? Like, we want to be consistent like that. And some people get upset by that. Like, look, this isn't something we want you to play for 30 days and then leave. Like, we want players for as long as humanly possible. And if they believe in us and they believe in our roadmap and they believe and their beliefs align with our beliefs, then we'll have these players for months, if not years. And so we're going to reward their time and attention.
That's great to hear. That's a good strategy. So, Michael, last question for you. Are you playing any games? And more specifically, are you playing any crypto games?
I am. I play a lot of crypto games because I do want to understand the references that people make and what they're talking about, and more importantly, where they've come from. So the reason why Blockchain Brawlers, I think, is so easy to onboard and is really slick UI and is fun to play, it's because I've actually gone through playing a lot of not very good play to earn games, and I get confused and I get lost. I'm thinking, I'm very tech savvy. I'm very kind of, game savvy. And yet I come to this product and I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where to go. I get super confused. I get lost. You're pointing back to the Lex Cloud wallet, that same thinking that drove that Web 2 experience, if you will, with the Google Auth and, 2 clicks and you've got your wallet set up. We took that same thinking and brought it into Blockchain Brawlers. Things that are easy to use, people will use and they will adopt. Sorry. And, the reality of the situation is that when we do have games that are simple like that, it's great for everybody. The games that I play, so I play Office Land, I play War Space Gaming, I play Arena of Glory, I obviously play a lot of Blockchain Brawlers. I play Metropolis Origins, which is a kind of an up and coming game from QXR Studios, which I absolutely love. It's being built by a guy named Graham Devine, and Graham Devine, you may or may not know. Graham Devine is just an unbelievably talented game designer. He built a game back in the day called Seventh Guest and another one called 11th Hour. He did some really important work on Quake 3 Arena. It's like he's a real heavy hitter in the traditional gaming space. And he's got a game on wax. It's a CCG called Metropolis Origins, and it is absolutely fantastic. And they're kind of in their soft launch phase. So yeah, I do play a lot of play to earn games because I do enjoy it, but it's also teaching moments for me. Like I love to kind of know what other companies are doing and how they're doing it and what works and what doesn't work. So I'm a student from the works that I interact with.
That's great. We are all students in this space. All right.
Yes. Yes,
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Michael, for being with us today. You shared some really valuable information.
Thanks, George.
I hope to see you again in a couple of months and check on the.
I'll come back anytime. I will come back anytime at all. It was a pleasure to be here, and I wish you well, and I had a really fun time.
Likewise, pleasure to have you. Thank you guys for watching this episode. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks.